Few things get my motor running like high-octane imagery. Color correction can be Mr. Fix-It and help your productions out of a tight spot. However, these same principles can be taken from the shade tree mechanic and applied to a fine-tuned machine. This week, we're popping under the hoods of our NLEs and looking at how color correction can be used to stylize your footage. It's time to open things up and hit the road. We're cutting class. A vital part of any post-production workflow is color correction. In episode 103, we looked at some of the basics of color correction and how the three-way color corrector works. It's a standard tool that can be found in any professional editing application. Today, we're going to look at how we can color correct our footage for effect by using secondary color correction. I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm willing to bet the archives have something for us on this subject.
A slideshow from Adjunct Propaganda. When the cow moos, advance to the next slide. Moo. What a wonderful world of color we have to explore. Moo. In video and film, we can correct and change the qualities and quantities of color in our images. Moo. Primary color correction affects all the color information in an image. Moo. Secondary color correction affects specific, isolated color information in an image. Moo. It can make my brown eyes blue. Moo. Tertiary color correction is a mind bender for the future. Thank you, Mr. Robot Man. Moo.
Most definitely. Thank you, Mr. Robot Man. Well, with all that in mind, let's start playing with color. Here's our source footage, and it's pretty good looking to begin with. We're going to polish it up just a little by adding a three-way color corrector to it. Again, this is a common tool in any professional editing application. Here it has 3 color wheels labeled blacks, mids, and whites. Depending on your application, it may be labeled the same or as shadows, mids, highlights, or in the more traditional way of lift, gamma, and gain. We're going to crush our blacks, pop our mids, shift in their color a little, bump our highlights, and nudge the saturation just a hair. This looks good, but let's take it a little further. Our subject's shirt here in the clip is, well, not the color we want it to be. So let's change it. If we were to just shift the coloring of the image, the shirt would change colors, but so would everything else. For now, we want everything else to remain the same color. Now, there's many ways we can achieve this effect, but we're going to do it by using secondary color correction. We've already applied one color corrector 3-way filter to our clip, but we're going to add a second. The great thing about filters is that we can stack them on to get our desired effect. With the second 3-way, we're going to choose to limit its effect. This should be possible in whatever application you use, albeit it may go by different names. In Final Cut Pro, we'll open our second 3-way up in the viewer. This is the one we're going to adjust for our secondary correction. At the bottom of this window, notice there's a line labeled Limit Effects. To the left there's a twirly. Let's open it. Notice that we have a new palette of controls at our disposal. These are basic HSL, hue, saturation, and luma. These are the controls for selecting our range of pixels. There are 2 other sliders, edge thin, and a softening slider, just like the chroma keyer. These help refine our selection. The first thing I'm going to do is select the color that I want to change. I'm going to click the eyedropper here under my limit effect controls and take it over to my canvas and click on the shirt. We don't see any visible change because we've only made a selection. To get a better idea of what this selection is, let's click on the View toggle button below the eyedropper. Clicking it once shows us the map of our selected pixels. Notice that it's obvious from our map view that we have yet to select all the pixels in our shirt. Let's click the eyedropper again, hold down the Shift key, and click on a portion of the shirt that's not selected. In our map view, it now appears that the majority of our shirt is selected. Let's toggle back to our final view by hitting the View toggle twice. This way we can see the effects of our secondary color correction. Let's go into the color correction controls of this filter and adjust first the colors of the shirt by moving the control indicator of each wheel in the direction we want our color to shift. Notice in the canvas that we can now identify several problems in our color correction. Our shift in color doesn't look natural, and we need to refine our selection to cover the entirety of the shirt but not bleed into other parts of our image. We'll use the color bar under the limit effect. The buttons on the top of the bar select the range of colors that we want to select, while the buttons on the bottom of the bar set the tolerance of that range. I'm going to expand these ranges out just a little, too far, and I'm bringing in parts of the image that I don't want to change. We can also adjust the selection by setting a tolerance for the range of saturation in the shirt, as well as selecting a particular range of luminance within the shirt. To control the edge pixels of our selection, we want to use the edge thin slider to select the depth of fringe pixels in our selection. The edge of our selection is looking a little too sharp here, so we're going to dull it down by slightly bringing up our softening slider. Notice our selection now looks pretty accurate in terms of what we have selected, but its color still looks fake. Let's go back to our color wheels and shift the colors to something that's a little more believable. After we have the color where we want it, let's adjust our levels. I found that oftentimes when performing secondary color correction that the shift in color can flatten the altered pixels just a little bit. So we're going to change the luminance values and the saturation to make it more believable. Why don't we stylize this just a little bit more? We'll apply a third color corrector 3-way to this clip and again open up the limit effect controls. Click on the selection button next to the Luma control bar, making sure that the chroma bar and saturation bar are not selected. This way our selection in this corrector will only be based on the image's luminance levels. First, let's position our range selection to span the bottom of our luminance values. Next, we'll set the tolerance to run the range from the darkest portions of our image slightly above the upper end of our range selection. Now we'll make our adjustments by slightly crushing the shadows, gently lifting our mids, and we're going to blow out the highlights. Notice that when we do this, the highlights in the image remain intact because they're not part of the selection. Instead, the dynamic range of the low end of our image is now changed. Our image is almost there. Let's add a fourth 3-way color corrector, open its limit effect controls, and this time we're going to turn on the saturation controls for our selection. Let's set our range to run from those pixels that are the least saturated to a point somewhere entering the middle range of our selection values. Set the tolerance for this selection to run from the least saturated to well within our highly saturated pixels. Let's make adjustments to our selection now by moderately crushing our blacks, bumping our mids, and again boosting our highlights. After we've adjusted these levels, we'll significantly drop our saturation. Notice what's happened here. Our image has a highly contrasted, washed out dynamic range, while our initial selection is brightly colored. This is because the most recent selection we made affected just about everything in the image except for the areas that were overly saturated. One last touch up. The sky is now completely blown out and our image almost looks dead because of it. I'm just going to take a simple gradient I've created, it ramps down from light blue to white, and place it on the layer above my footage. I'll select my gradient and set its compositing or blending mode to multiply. And there we have it, stylized shot. This treatment was done using the same effect, stacked up several times, with each being adjusted to different parameters of footage. Color correction isn't just a fix, it's really a process of fine-tuning and souping up your productions. Remember, in the edit bay, you're in the driver's seat, so don't let your footage slow you down. Think of it more as a part that you can polish up to perfection no matter how it was when you got it. We'll see you next time.